In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the ignition switch on this 1980 MGB. First thing to do, disconnect the battery. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect all of these connectors after we have labelled them. All I'm going to do just for labelling them is I'm going to just write a number on each one, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to disconnect them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the steering column out. It is not a big job in an MGB. In order to remove the steering column, the first thing you need to do is to remove the pinch bolt from the top of the universal joint down here beside the engine. In order to do this, you need 2 half-inch spanners. There's no point in taking the bottom pinch bolt out because you won't get the UJ through the hole. You need to take the top one out. It stands to reason, by the way, that really when you're starting this job, make sure that the wheels are straight and the steering wheel is straight. And if you can do it with the minimum of disturbance, you should be able to get everything back together without the steering wheel being off centre. To be honest with you, I expect it probably will be a little bit off centre, but it was anyway before we started the job, so I'm not overly upset by that. I'm afraid I'm going to have to actually turn the steering wheel a little bit to get that bolt out, which is kind of frustrating, but okay, so I'll be able to get the bolt out now, but what I'll do is before I actually pull the shaft out, I'll straighten the steering wheel back up again. Okay, so that's the UJ disconnected down at the down there. So next thing to do is we can undo the 3 bolts that are actually holding the steering column on. Good, just straighten up the steering wheel again. Okay, there we go. Now, right, so next step is there are 3 bolts under here which need to be removed. Superfluous wiring for this car. Okay, so now it should literally be just a case of pulling the steering wheel out of the rubber mount at the bottom. The most likely scenario is it's actually held up on the UJ. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of thinking, do we even need to actually disconnect it there? Because I'm just thinking if we actually leave the UJ intact, it's going to leave our steering alignment intact and we can actually just take off the steering cowling here and do it here. Let's do that. Makes much more sense. I'm actually going to loosely reinstall that UJ bolt down there so that it actually doesn't come free now. Okay, so I'm going to set about taking off the steering cowling here now. Just a few screws. Probably less screws than there's supposed to be because, you know, it is what it is. Alright, yeah, so there's only 1 screw holding that on. There's the light switch there, for example. So now we need to take off the one on this side as well. Screw going into the steering column from over there too. Pull that away. Now, here's where the fun begins. Those 2 bundles of joy there and there are the bolts we need to remove in order to take the steering or the ignition switch off. Now you will notice that there are no heads on said bolts because they are shear bolts, and basically when you're putting them in you break the head off. This you will see later, but we need to still take them out. So there are 2 options here. You can either drill the head off them, and that's going to be a pain in the face, or you can get a chisel and try and hit the side of them and try and get them to turn. And we're going to try the chisel first of all, and if we can't get it with the chisel, then we're going to try and drill them. Alright, so I cannot find any of my cold chisels, so I'm using the sharp side of a drift, but there you go, that's turning now. So slow progress, but still preferable than having to drill them. It doesn't really matter if you damage the old lock given the fact that you're going to be changing it. But if you are only removing it for another purpose and you actually aren't changing it, you might decide to go down the route of drilling it rather than hitting it with a chisel. Now, I mean, look, there's a little bit of chisel rash there from that, but I mean, it would still be serviceable if I was putting it back in. But the reason I'm actually changing this lock is because it's left my dad stranded a couple of times when he's been out driving it, because he basically hasn't been able to get the key in or out, and it's basically been just, the steering lock has been playing up and all this on it as well. And yeah, I probably could fix it, but I'm not going to try it. And besides, I'm just looking there, the wiring has got a whole load of Scotch locks on it as well, and they need to go. There we go. You can see here the key is getting stuck part of the way. Like, it sometimes will turn on, and then other times it won't turn off, and other times it's fine. So we can't be having that. Now, as I said, I probably could have done something with it. I probably could have taken it off and lubricated it and all that, but then you look at all the wiring and stuff there as well. To be honest with you, this was going to be a point of failure on this car at some point or another. So to me, just get shut of it and put a new one in. I mean, it's a piece of 40-year-old Lucas Electricals, so definitely worth replacing. Anyway, the new one is basically, it's a refitting as a reversive removal, only I swear in different places, and you don't have to try and battle with those sheared bolts. Okay, so here's the new lock, and it's ever so slightly different in that it has this little black module on the side of it, which I actually don't know what it does, but it's there nonetheless anyway. So yeah, you can see on the other one there was actually the facility for that little piece. So yeah, now let's have a quick look and see if the pinout is the same. Green, red, white, green, yeah, and then brown one to the middle. Brown one to the middle is disconcertingly light on this one rather than the heavier one that's on the new one, or on the old one. And then there's this purple wire as well, which goes into the connector, which this one does not have. But I don't know whether there's actually even anything for that to go into. Let me just see what number was that connector again. That was, what did I number at? 1. My trusty floodlight is great. This thing here, yeah. So whatever that's for, it doesn't do anything in the car anyway. So it's not going to be staying in it. There's no connector for it actually on the car. So look, I'm going to just leave it be. I mean, it's there, so there's no point in taking it out. What I also want to do is I just need to clean up the pins on the terminals for the actual ignition switch, because they're looking a bit grubby in there. There's a bit of verdigris on them, so a little bit of emery paper, clean them all up and everything as well. And but look, before we do that, we can actually install this. So let's get this done first. Orientation is not a problem. There's actually a little dowel inside there that's going to keep the ignition switch in the correct position. So literally, it's just a case of taking out. You'll see the way they're sort of shouldered bolts, and that basically means that when you tighten them sufficiently, the collar will break, and you'll be just left with the little spud stuck in the middle that we were trying to remove from the old one. So that goes there, and then this goes here. Now, before we go stitching the bolts and breaking the heads off them, we're going to just check everything to make sure that we're in the correct position and there isn't something I'm missing or something silly, because that would really ruin my day if I had to try and get this off again after doing that. See, one of the things I'm kind of wondering about is, why is the steering lock not working? There it is working. You just have to turn it around quite a lot. Alright, okay, well then, grand. Okay, happy days. That all seems good. So let's get a suitable size ratchet and break the heads off them. Sounds funny to say, but that's really what we're doing. I think it's a 1/2 inch by the looks of things. Yeah, well, that's 9/16 and it's too big, so it must be. I'm just going to tighten them down evenly. To be honest with you, they feel more like 13 mils. But all right, okay, that's fine. So let's get these, give them their final tighten. There we go. That's one done. They don't take a huge amount of force to break. There we go. Now that's it done. There's the wiring in place. So next thing I'm going to do is put the cowling on. Alright, so that's the cowling on there. So next thing to do is to get our bolts back in. So for some reason, the one closest to me on the left had 2 washers on, and the other ones only had 1 washer on. So we'll put them back the way they were and get them stitched up. They're kind of a floating washer because it allows for some adjustment. If you watch my video on replacing the front subframe, you'd see why you need that adjustment. It's actually because of the fact that if you bolt up the steering rack, you need the clearance to be able to actually get it into position, and that may involve actually moving this ever so slightly back or forth. All right. So now the last thing to do is to reconnect the UJ under the bonnet, get the wiring reconnected here, reconnect the battery, and test it all out and see how it works. But so far so good. It's all come together nicely. You know something? It is my opinion that the #1 cause of electrical problems in classic British cars, and a lot of other classic cars for that matter as well, is dirty connections or corroded connections, okay? Now, simply put, it's not a major problem to put right. All you have to do is just clean the connections and put some, if you have dielectric grease, better again, and then that'll actually stop the corrosion. But even if you just clean the connections, you might find that electrical problems that you're having go away. And that's especially important for earthing points as well. So you'll see that before I actually connect any of the connectors back up under here, I'm just cleaning any verdigris off the contacts. It's time well spent. And, you know, I mean, the thing about it is, it makes this a much more reliable car. What I use for cleaning them is on the male terminals I use a little bit of emery, and on the female terminals I use a little needle file, which will go into the connector, and you can just twist it around and it cleans it off. So yeah, it does the job. All right, so the moment of truth, everything's back together again. So we've got power. Happy days. Now make sure it turns off as well. Grand, happy days. So that's what we were looking for. And by the way, there's no reason why an MGB can't start that easily.